Welcome back, Jayhawks. Excited for another alumni interview this morning. Here with Chris Watkins, the 2018 graduate of our undergraduate program. He is the tight ends and running backs coach for Highland Community College. It's a couple months on the job there, and excited to hear about his path in coaching and things we can take from his journey. So maybe, Chris, let's just start with this. Walk us through kind of your position. I know you've only been there a couple months, but what your roles are on the community college staff and football.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was the fourth coach hired to the staff. We now have, and that brought the total to five, including the head coach. And now we have six coaches on staff total. I was brought in early February to, like you said, coach running backs and tight ends. When I got there, due to my experience at KU and kind of at the Power 5 level, the head coach, Jeff Hancock, decided to make me the outbound recruiting coordinator. So that's honestly been the main focus of mine since I've got there, is just trying to help our freshmen and sophomores who are able to transfer out find a four-year home. I think at first I thought, okay, this is going to be easy, but especially with COVID-19, it's been an interesting process. I've gotten to interact with coaches at all levels, from Power 5 all the way down to NAIA. And it's been really interesting to deal with athletes of varying talent levels, because, I think every kid, especially JUCO kids, they want to go D1. And there's kind of this aura around the idea of going D1. And the reality is that there are amazing opportunities to continue your academic and athletic career at the D2, D3, and NAI levels. Because COVID-19 cut short our spring practice season, we unfortunately haven't been able to get into the coaching aspect with our players. But like I said, I've been doing a lot of work daily, just trying to help our guys get recruited. And now we're kind of shifting our focus from the 2020 class for bringing guys into Highland to now we're focusing on the next class of 2021 and trying to get offers out to a lot of Kansas guys.
Sure. So junior college football has really gotten a lot of publicity in the last, it's been 3 years now, 4 years now, with Last Chance U. The show on Netflix has become very popular. What's your sense of how that's changed, how junior college football is viewed, how much awareness there is now from kids in high school, or maybe they're thinking about colleges? What has that whole show done for the atmosphere of junior college football?
I think that's a great question. Back when we were much younger, I think junior college football was something that schools like Kansas State were really capitalizing on, was the fact that they were kind of relative unknowns. And then you introduce the internet era of recruiting, and all of a sudden on sites like Rivals and 247, you now have JUCO power rankings. I think that really heightened the attention before Last Chance U on JUCO football, particularly because you have Kansas, California, and Mississippi with the prominent JUCOs. So those are kind of in hotbeds of the SEC, the Big 12, and the Pac-12. So I think JUCO football has always had visibility, but with Last Chance U, I think there's good things that have come from it and bad things. The good things that have come from it is now when you talk to kids who might be considering going to a particular school, maybe at the D2, D3 level, you can say, hey, like you've seen with Last Chance U, these kids come here, they work their tails off, and they get an opportunity at the next level, possibly D1. I think the negative side of Last Chance U is now you have this stigma that if you go to a JUCO, you're not going to get treated right. You're going to be,
right,
you kind of used as a commodity. And unfortunately, the reality is there are a lot of coaches, not just JUCO, but there's a lot of coaches out there that kind of embrace that, tough love, old school mentality. And, they want to make the JUCO struggle part of their brand. But for us at Highland, all of our coaches, they have experience from Power 5 all the way down to JUCO. And we're just trying to help kids understand that, when you come to a JUCO, particularly Highland, you're not making a 1 or 2 year decision. You're making a 5-10 year investment in trying to, have good academics have, good work ethic in the weight room, have good work ethic on the field. And, that is something that we have had to fight a little bit. I think when talking with players is they want that some of them want that notoriety that Last Chance U brings with it. And they kind of like the edge. But for us, we've seen a lot of progress from our roster in particular in the short time that we've been there, just because the previous coaching staff, I think, maybe embraced that Last Chance U mentality a little bit, and I don't think it was very sustainable. So we've been trying to kind of shift away from that, and we've seen really good results from it.
I know you and I have talked a lot about the different tape that you watch and coaches you have kind of plugged into as you try to develop your offensive mindset and skill set as you get into your coaching career. For our students that do want to get into coaching, who are the resources, coaches they should look at, things they should follow to build up their toolbox as they try to get into this profession?
That's a great question, because I think in the coaching world, as much as any professional endeavor, your brand is really important. Mm-hmm. And so I think first and foremost, if you're a young coach, who maybe didn't play college football, like I did not play college football, mm-hmm. but for me, a way to break into the industry was to build that brand. And I think we all know that Twitter is the main medium with which the coaching world is kind of building itself upon. There's a lot of guys out there that, you can follow and connect with. I think the most important thing is follow the prominent high school coaches. There's lots of great, smart high school coaches around the country who are constantly putting out content about schematics, about recruiting, about program building. And, it's really hard sometimes to gain access to Power 5 or FBS coaches. Clinics are a great way to get that access. But if you really want that personalized, deep knowledge, you can really kind of find that in the high school level. Three guys in particular stand out to me. Coach Dan Casey, he's in North Carolina. He is constantly putting out tape and doing schematic stuff and kind of opening the vault of film, which for a guy like myself who, I didn't play, like I said, I didn't play college football, and I haven't been, in a graduate assistant or a coach at a D1 level for very long. So I haven't had much time to acquire my own vault of tape. So it's really nice to have guys like Coach Dan Casey out there who, every single day they're putting out little clips and breaking it down. Another one is Coach Drew Piscopo. He's in North Carolina as well. He's got a really deep knowledge of the air raid offense. He's done lots of clinics with Coach Leach and Hal Mummy, kind of the godfathers of the air raid. And the last one would be Coach Kurt Hines. He's in San Diego. He's really good with organization, motivation, program building. He's a great guy. And the thing is I have followed all of these guys, and they've all followed me back, and we exchange DMs from time to time. And, I think it's really important to build your network, but to do so in a way that, benefits yourself as well as them. If you're someone like myself and you're working at a junior college, you can message these guys and say, hey, I really appreciate what you do. Can I pick your brains about program building? And then at the end of the conversation, you can always end with, hey, and if you've got any guys that are wanting to play college football but aren't sure about how to go about that, have them follow me and send me a DM, and we've developed relationships that way. And I think it's super important, especially if you're a young coach, to not get fixated. I tell my athletes this: don't get fixated on D1. I think it's important for coaches to not get fixated on, well, I want to be like Lincoln Riley. Well, I want to be like Mike Leach. Well, the reality is you can access that type of cerebral knowledge from other coaches in the game, because I think we all know it's next to impossible to get Lincoln Riley on the phone anytime you want. But these other coaches, like I said, especially Coach Dan Casey, I mean, you can send him a DM and he'll get back to you within 24 hours almost every single time, and he'll have something knowledgeable to give you.
So during your time at KU, you did lots of different experiences, Chiefs, with KU football. Maybe just talk through how those help set you up for your career and how you're moving through it now.
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest things and this is absolutely a credit to you. When I first came into your intro to sport management class, I think the number one thing you hammered home every single day was network, network, network. And part of networking is volunteering, doing unpaid internships, showing up to events, offering your time to help, joining sport management club. I think the most important thing is to just get yourself in front of people. A lot of people like to say half the battle is just showing up. Mm-hmm. If you just show up to certain places, certain events, you will get the practice that you need to talk to professionals in the industry, and you'll be able to gain some knowledge from them, and it might give you some insight. When I worked with the Chiefs and did the corporate partnerships, that was really good practice for me to talk to strangers, and I think that's a scary thing for a lot of young college kids is, I don't want to sound stupid. I don't want to ask a bad question. Just throw yourself out there, ask questions, talk to people, build relationships. Sport management club was great for me getting to know my classmates because, they're going to end up being professionals in the industry, and they might hire you. You might hire them down the road. So getting to know your classmates is really important. And, working at KU football was great because I was able to meet. Hey, yeah, exactly. I was able to meet, players, coaches, administrators, and just converse with them, converse. I think, the best thing that you can do is just constantly ask questions to the point where you might even come off as annoying. But at the same time, if you are constantly trying to seek knowledge, you're eventually going to find someone who can be a good mentor to you. I can definitely say Coach Dearman has been that for me in terms of, offensive schematics. He came in as an analyst, and I helped him out on a couple of projects, and we were able to develop a relationship, and he trusted me. And so he opened up to me, and we were able to, learn things from each other. And, especially me learning things from him. I don't know what he learned from me, but in any event, that relationship building is probably the most important thing, and I know you guys talk about it all the time in your classes, cultivating relationships. And it can be as simple as sending a LinkedIn invite, going up to a speaker in class. I think one in particular that stands out to me was Don Castani. I mean, he and I talked for maybe 15 minutes after his speech in Dr. Kish's class several years ago. And I sent him a LinkedIn invite, and he immediately accepted it. And, we've had some brief conversations from time to time, but just, cultivate those relationships. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And the other thing is, don't be afraid to fail. We're all going to apply for jobs that we're not going to get. We're all going to reach out to people who we're never going to hear back from, but you don't have anything to lose. I think that's probably the biggest takeaway that I, embraced early on in my sports career was you don't have anything to lose.
Well, so we talked about you graduated from our undergraduate program in 2018, but you're also now part of our online master's degree. What made you decide to go for the master's degree, and maybe what so far have you taken from that that's helped you for students that are trying to decide if they should continue on and do the master's degree?
I think when I graduated with the undergrad, the number one thing that drew me to doing the master's was just the competition in the sports world is so intense that anything that you can do to separate yourself, if it is feasible for you to pursue, I think you should pursue it. Whether that's a master's degree or certain certifications. What drew me to the KU program was, first of all, it was online, which means that I could do it from anywhere. And working in sports kind of at the, entry level area, I was out in Washington, D.C. at Howard. Now I'm back in Kansas. I could be in Mexico tomorrow, who knows? Right. But because the program is online, I'm able to do that, at a pretty, not slow pace, but at a very manageable pace. And that's something that I really like. And on top of that, I have had great experiences with the faculty in the KU Sport Management program. And so I wanted to continue that and continue my education, at my hometown school. Plus, on top of that, a master's degree from KU it's an extremely, it's an honor. It's an honor, truly. And, I'll be graduating here in December, and I'm, very excited about that. And I think that's going to help me in my career because, who knows, maybe I get to a certain point and you can pursue the PhD route. So.
Let's change gears a little bit. What's one thing you've read or listened to lately that's been influential or inspirational to you, kind of as we move into your new position?
So I read a book called Conscious Coaching by Brett Bartholomew. He is a strength and conditioning coach who's been around the industry for a while. And the book really talks about just connecting with your athletes on a deeper level. It's more than just commanding them to do the workout, to do the rep, to come to the meeting, to do this and do that. Um, but he really breaks it down how there are tons of different type of athlete archetypes, and within those archetypes there's strengths and weaknesses, and it's our job as coaches to bring the strengths out and minimize the weaknesses or turn the weakness into a strength. That's been huge. I've really also just with the COVID-19 situation, I've had a lot of time to get to books that I've been putting off for a while. So whether that's technical football type textbooks or just general reading, articles, blog posts from other coaches. And then also virtual clinics have been really huge since the outbreak. There's a lot of coaches who just want to talk, and they just want to talk ball because that's what they're programmed to do. Coach Kadudi is a coach in the Houston area. He's a high school coach, and he's been doing virtual clinics like crazy. And I've gotten in on a couple of those, and he's a great guy. So I've just been trying to utilize all the tools and resources out there on the internet. But yeah, mainly the Conscious Coaching book by Brett Bartholomew. That's been a big inspiration to me lately, and it's helped me connect better with my athletes. And I think, being so new to the coaching game, one thing that I had to do when I first got to Highland was I had to have my players buy in and trust me, particularly my running backs, because I'm going to spend a lot of time with them. And, I approach them in a very human way. And, I specifically said to each one, like, my goal is to not just use you for clout chasing to get the next job. I want to make sure that, you're becoming the best person, the best student, and then the best athlete that you can. And I've seen really positive results from that.
Great. Let's end with 5 rapid fire questions here.
Absolutely.
First one, show that you're embarrassed to admit that you were watching.
I guess Tiger King, but I'm not really embarrassed about that.
I know, it's pretty good.
I've been binging on Adventure Time. I'm a big cartoon guy. I'm not gonna lie. I like the short episodes.
Yeah. Tiger King seems to be a phenomenon. I asked our students in class, "What's one thing you've been watching?" And 80%, I think, it said that.
Yeah, true phenomenon.
Yeah. What's the most memorable sporting event you've attended?
I would probably have to say Kansas State versus USC in 2002. It was a home game for K-State. You had Carson Palmer. You had, I'm pretty sure, a freshman Reggie Bush on the team. Troy Polamalu. Terrence Newman was a cornerback for K-State. He's a top 5 pick. He blocked and returned a extra point in the end zone that I was sitting in. And that was just one of the most electric atmospheres I've ever been at. And that probably solidified, unknowingly at the time, that probably solidified my path in football.
If you weren't a football coach, what would you want to do for a profession?
Probably something in like forestry or the National Park Service.
Why is that?
I'm just a big camping outdoor guy. I love the Rocky Mountains. I got my Colorado hat on right now. Yeah. I just, I've done a lot of hiking over the last few years out in Colorado, and anytime I come across National Park Service people, they're always extremely nice, extremely happy, and they seem like they live really fulfilling lives.
Nice. When you go recruit a high school player to Highland, give me your elevator pitch.
The number one thing that I'm going to pitch to a kid out of state is, you're going to be playing in the best JUCO league in America. You're going to be going up against guys who are going to go to top schools, and you yourself might go to a top school because the competition is so fierce. For in-state guys, my elevator pitch is going to be, hey, you're going to play in the best conference, JUCO conference in America, and at the same time, you're going to be able to be close to home, especially if you're a Northeast Kansas guy. You're really only about an hour out. from Kansas City, about an hour out from Lawrence, about an hour out from Topeka. So if you've got family, friends, they can come see you play. You can still have your social life on the summers, breaks, and weekends. And on top of that, whether you're in state or out of state, you're going to be joining a program who has coaches who have coached at every level. They're great men, great leaders of men, and they're great coaches. They know what they're doing schematically. They know what they're doing academically. And we're just extremely organized compared to, kind of the last chance you group of guys that we talked about earlier.
All right, last one. When you look back on your coaching career thus far, what's the most enjoyable game you've been involved with?
Ooh, that's a good one. At Howard, beating Delaware State this last year on the road was really awesome because, we were kind of on a losing streak, and the players really, really, really happy about that to get that monkey off their back. Also, the picture that you showed earlier, KU's win over TCU in 2018 was really great. Just anytime you can get a win, when wins are tough to come by for the seniors and for the coaches, they put in so many hours. And when you go out and you lose back-to-back games or 3 games in a row, it kind of starts to wear on you. So when you finally get a win, everyone can kind of collectively breathe that sigh of relief. And it really invigorates the program, for at least 1 week.
Yeah. All right, Chris. Thanks, my friend. I appreciate it. Stay safe, stay healthy. Rock chalk.
Absolutely. Rock chalk.